Officially, good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to Market Watch Group Monday Market Kickoff. My name is Scott. I'll be your host. Good morning to you, LJ Go. As always, let me remind you that what we do here is for education, illustrative purposes only. Nothing we do or say should be intended or construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security or financial product. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Yada, yada. Agenda. Well, we postured yesterday, and now we're transitioning from our posture into our trading. So our core agenda, when you boil it down, is to transition from market posture to trading posture. You're like, whoa, Scott, what do you mean? Well, if you look at the trading plan, which specifically in this instance, we're talking about Section 2. Ironically, our trading plan loop that we go on every 8 weeks together, trying to continually strengthen our trading plans together, is Section 2, which is market posture. And inevitably, and we'll look at it, but inevitably when you look at that section, people are always like, what's the difference between market posture and trading posture? Well, market posture is how we define it. It's the umbrella. It's the rails that we put on and we say, this is how I see the market. These are the things I'm thinking of doing. Then we get to Monday morning. And trading posture is, what are you going to do right now? That's that. If I say to you, I'm a 5.25. Does that tell you what I'm going to do on Monday morning? No. It tells you that I'm going to look at the market through a bullish lens, that I'm going to be willing to take a certain amount of risk, that I'm going to be unwilling to take losses unless I really have hit the definition of wrong. I'm more likely to anticipate a trade. Right? So these are things that are coming, what systems I use. But when it comes down to like, all right, it's Monday, what are you going to do? Okay, now we turn market posture to trading posture. And essentially, the eternal question is always going to be, now what? Now what? Whatever you describe, now what? That's where we're at. What are we going to do for that? Opening futures and news. We'll look at the economic calendar and our market posture. And we'll start talking about trades that we have open. Any time that we're now whatting, the first priority is always where you have skin in the game. It's not like, oh, do we have new trades to think of? Well, you better manage the ones you have first. Always. Those are the ones that are the top priority. And once we've managed what we have, then we move on to, is there something new to consider? We'll look at the opening range and what the implications are for trading. We have a nice list, 15 to 17-ish stocks on there. And we'll talk about the trading plan section of the week. Okay, let's do it. Let's get into it. Let me see here. What am I looking for? There it is. I need to make sure that I have these things reloaded. Futures down marginally. S&P down 0.28, Dow 0.32, NASDAQ 0.26, Russell 0.4. If you notice, it's gotten better. Overnight, if you couldn't sleep at any point, I don't know. That was me for a minute. Couldn't sleep for some reason. I looked at the futures, of course, and what do we see? Well, they were down more like 0.5%, so they've come back a little bit. But we are seeing a little bit of downward pressure and a little bit of upward pressure on the VIX. And we actually talked about, even on the very last minute of yesterday's session, we talked about a hedge. And I said, would I be thinking or considering a hedge based on where we saw the VIX, which is very low? Yeah, 100%. I'm not saying, oh, we should hedge. I'm saying anytime you look at the VIX and it's at like a low point, if it starts to bounce from there, it means the market's pulling back. And if you were able to get a VIX, or if you're able to get puts on in a protective fashion, you got the best possible price. It wasn't a VIX setup that triggered a hedge. It wasn't a higher low. In fact, we actually scored a lower high on the VIX. We'll get to that in just a second. So that's at play as well. That if you have a bunch of trades on that you're managing, you might think, I might put something on to help me get through that. And when we hedge, we don't dollar for dollar hedge. I'm not like, I need to completely protect every position. I'm just going to put a little something on that if the market drops and I've got 4 or 5 positions that I'm trying to manage, I would love to know that if the market starts dropping, as I'm managing those where I have skin in the game, that put's just doing its job for me. So something to think about. Okay, what's going on? Powell is facing increasing pressure on outrageous Fed renovation. I mean, is that one person? I feel like, the Fed is a board of governors. I don't know. I should look into that. Is it? Has anyone looked into this, or is it just a political point? Like, is there a there that somehow Jerome Powell is spent? I think he said $1 billion for Fed renovations, and I was like, is that true? Stephen D says political point. Thank you, Stephen D. Quickly settled. I always appreciate your perspective. Okay, let's keep going. An easy lies ahead. Yeah. What else do we have? Stock slip as tariff fears mount ahead of CPI. I think CPI is really what it is. We've got numbers supposed to come, and right now we're kind of sitting around a 2.5 mark. And it looks like we're going to head towards closer to 3 than closer to 2 at this point. And that's difficult. Buffett comes out on top from Kraft Heinz flop. Buffett always comes out on top. Everybody knows that about Buffett. That's what he does. Tariffs are headed for a showdown. Oil rises on strong Chinese data. U.S. plans for war in Ukraine. That's another one. Oil rising. Where's that? Marginally. You can see it actually rose quite a bit and then pulled back. It's only up 0.35. Marginal. But oil rising is not good for inflation. A third of inflation comes from energy costs. So we have to be aware about that. Bitcoin soars past 120. We looked at Bitcoin on Sunday because of Congress's. Okay, so it is Congress. I wasn't sure if it was like something that was going to be an executive order or if that was actually congressional. It's much stronger that it's congressional. If they get something passed, much stronger in that regard. Okay. Anything in the news you feel like I'm missing? We've got 2 minutes before the market opens. Just a real quick peek. We don't really have anything scheduled for today. It's going to kick off tomorrow. CPI. And again, when you look at what we're expecting, 0.1 is expecting to go to 0.3. 2.4 to 2.7, 0.1 to 0.3, 2.8 to 3. These numbers here are not going to that is not going to get the Fed what it needs, in my opinion, to cut. That's just me. Looking for an improvement on Empire State. And then we got a bunch of Fed speak. And then Wednesday we have PPI. We don't have the expectations yet. The only one we have is the month-to-month standard, which is 0.1 to 0.2. So it doesn't look great as far as that goes. Okay. Trump is the professional yo-yo player, fun to watch, difficult to understand. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I started hearing the taco term thrown out again. The Trump always chickens out. They were giving a press conference and they're like, well, we already sent letters. And now it's like, well, this time we mean it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Now, here's the thing. I'll tell you this. There has been already a couple of times where they were like, oh, we're going to see prices tick up. And they didn't. So this is not a sure thing. But if we get these upticks, it's going to be very difficult for the Fed to to lower rates. Okay, market open. Let's pop in and take a peek at it. So everyone's like, oh, the market's pulling back. Is it? It looks okay to me. Looks pretty okay. We're down 0.1% on the SPY. We're looking okay. Now, will I want to see a little bit more to want to put new bullish trades on? Yeah, I would say yes. But this is nothing. This is not like, oh, look at this. We're scared. We're not scared. There's nothing fearful here. Let me get to my watch list here. How's everybody feeling now that they have transitioned from market posture to trading posture? Perhaps getting ahead of the group since Bob Rowland is here. Hello, Bob Rowland. Good to see you, my friend. Current watch list is 623. 623 is actually quite current. I would actually, I can't remember if I've even dropped anything from the list, but I will go update it based on what we have today. You'll see. I really don't think there's been anything added or deleted in the last few weeks. Maybe one or two stocks I've dropped, but I will go in and I will update that. The watch list from month to month is really not like a hugely fluid thing. We have a pretty core stable. But yes. He is putting more sanctions on Russia, proving Patriot batteries to Ukraine. Okay, thank you, Stephen D, about the news. Okay, let's go. Here's the SPY, just kind of sitting in that range. We'll come back in a little bit and we'll check on the opening range. Here's the VIX. That's a little bit more than I would have thought today, actually. So the market's pricing in a little bit of fear that has not started to play out yet. But if it looks like this, and then it looks like this, and then it looks like this, what are we going to see happen? It's going to go up, it's going to get here, and then it's going to roll down. Go back. And then we also have this coming down. That's still quite bullish. There's nothing all that concerning happening based on what we see in the market right now. There's not like, oh, the market looks fine. The market looks fine. What else do we have this week that we need to be aware of? Earnings season starting. Now, if you're not trading Alcoa or financial stocks, it's not this week, but the fact that those are happening this week. Alcoa was what I was raised on for earnings season. If you want, anytime it's like anyone's like, "Hey, when's earnings season?" I'll be like, "Pull up Alcoa. That's the door to earnings season." Right? But what else do we have? already, and you could probably find 7:15. You can find something that is earlier. It's not like the earliest, but it just was easy to use. Right now in the financial sector, you can go look around and see. We'll do it now. Let me pop through a couple here. Morgan Stanley is on the 16th. Goldman Sachs is on the 16th. Bank of America is on the 16th. So, pattern, yes. After that, we're going to start to see others that are going to be reporting. Here's Google. Google is the following week on the 23rd, a week later. Capital One, 22nd. CLS is not showing up, but that you can see last earnings were on the 24th, which would theoretically be a month, 3 months later. Every quarter is earnings. I would expect them on 7/24. The problem is my chart only goes to 7/23. If you want to see a little bit more, at least on these charts, you go to chart settings, time axis, and you can say, you know what, I want 2 weeks. And bam, there's your earnings down there, right? So you can kind of just open this window to be like, how much time do I have? Do I have time for a trade? As long as I have at least 4 or 5 days, I'll still think about it, because implied volatility tends to be in my favor during that last 7 to 10 days before earnings. Implied volatility tends to rise up until the event and then drop after the event. So if I am exiting before the event, then that should be something I could take advantage of. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay, let's start at the top, work our way down. We've looked at the SPY, we've looked at the VIX. Apple, it's still on my list. Apple definitely broke its consolidation. Gave us this. That's a nice bullish move. It gave us that with chunks of volume. That's always helpful. Made this higher high, took out all of this, took out even some of this, and we're up here. And now the sellers have the floor. You can see this is very easy to be looked at as representative of the selling cycle. And then we ask ourselves a question, not just on Google, but anytime we conduct an analysis like this. And Stephen is anticipating that question. Yes. The question is, how strong are the sellers? Such an important question to ask. They look weak to me. It's dropped from 215 to a support level around 209. That's 6 points. It tested down to 207, 2 more there. We're talking a couple of percent. That's nothing. They're not strong at all. So what I have is I have a smash, and now I'm looking to see if they're going to give me a grab. And the sellers are making it easy, and that's what I like to see. So I'm definitely looking for this, and we have plenty of time. What else about Apple? Why else do we focus on Apple? It's 11% of the NASDAQ. It's 7% of the S&P. Maybe it's 6. I don't know. Microsoft is another big chunk. But when we see, as goes Apple, so goes the NASDAQ. What's interesting is the NASDAQ's actually been strong over this entire period, even though Apple was a little bit in this languishing sideways state. And now it seems like it's trying to move back into, as Sandy just said, a leadership position. So this is favorable. It's on my list. I'm looking for it. Amazon, kind of iffy. I said you might have taken this trade here, and then it hiccuped, and then it's still going, and it's there. So whether you took it on Friday or took it earlier in the week, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday before, it's not moving great, but it's still trying to push. APH. Okay. APH. People say, am I too late? Looks exactly the same as it did. The entry here is good. APH is one that is minimally impacted by tariffs, very specifically chosen for that characteristic. Should we be mindful? Yeah, I don't want to be something that's going to get yo-yoed, as Kami put it, by tariff policies. Okay. Is minuscule profit because it's just getting started. It's stage 2, getting going. Just getting started. Okay. APH. Look at this beautiful trend. We're happy about that. BAC. I got to tell you, I'd be licking my chops right now with BAC, as would Stephen D. What's our problem here? Problem is, it's the 14th today, and I'm just barely looking to see this thing cross. And if this were to just, as long as it stayed above here and it gave me something like this, I'd be like, yeah, let's go. What's the problem? I only have one day, and then the morning here, it's earnings, and it's a crapshoot. Their earnings come out and there's a miss that no one expected. It's down here, and you're like, oh, yeah. So I'm not going to do it. Steven's not going to do it. We don't have enough time. I don't have a window here. If I had just even that much window, I'd be like, yeah, we could pop on up, call it a day. Boom. You'd love that trade. You might think, but Scott, usually we're looking for things up here. Well, if I only have 3 or 4 days, too late for BAC. There's just no trade in BAC for me, Press, again, because of the earnings. There's only you got today, which is uncertain still. Then you have one day, and then it's earnings before market on Wednesday. APH, open for business. Open for business. Come on in. Come on down. All right. Caterpillar. I would say viable here. It's in a little bit of a hiccup state. Yeah, it was a good looking thing. I don't know. That's a possibility if it starts to move the other way. CLS, waiting to see if there's a consolidation that maybe brings it back towards 150, and then a bounce. Do we have time? Yeah, I would say so. This is the 28th. 3 more days. Give me a turn, and then I've got a week. Perfect. Capital One. Okay, Capital One. Actually, I think we have time. I've got until the 22nd after market. Before market, after market. So if I get a signal on Capital One, which it looks like it's trying to develop. Now, if it drops from here and it ends up looking like this with a red candle, this is going to look like this, and it's going to be no trade there. But if it stays the way it is, or even gives me this little box, turns into a candle, this is moving higher, I've got this much time. Yeah, why not? That's what I'd be looking for. Very strong stock. Look at the momentum. Good momentum. Cisco. Now, there may have been something in here that led to an anticipatory trade for you. If so, it's going to be getting stretched. If not, you're still looking for. Look, this is my old. So I would say this is still a nice looking. Anything in there. We had a great trade on Cisco back here. I'm looking for another one. Diamonds. Look strong on the Dow. I don't see any problem there. EA. So across the 50, But technically, that's my last low. So if right here it does something like this, could we think about it and this kind of say, hey, can it get back to this 160 one more time? It's not really a handle anymore. When it got through this level, the handle is not really forming. It's too big. But is there still something potentially there before earnings come? Oh, well, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. GE Vernova overextended. Nothing for us there. Gold, nothing for me there. Google. So I actually felt like Google was valid. Did this and it turned. It's just holding. It's just pausing. Which means if you liked it but didn't take it and you still like it, the problem with that is a lot of people are like, oh, but now it's a falling star, so I can't trade it. No. If you like the signal, you could certainly trade it. All this means is the market has kind of settled a little bit down from the morning open. Goldman. Am I wrong that we would basically be like looking to put a trade on today? But again, the problem is you just don't have time for a trade. Again, before market, you have 1 day. It's unfortunate. There's plenty. And here's the thing is if it's bullish, people would be like, well, why didn't we just do it? Because now in hindsight, we would have made money. And it's like, well, because earnings are a crapshoot. And you can get yourself into a real dicey game in that regard around earnings. I tell people all the time, every trader has to find their earnings strategy. So there will be others. We already saw Hood that no, we didn't. It's coming. We already saw COF that we liked. Hood, actually Hood was, you had this kind of a pennant. You're like, what's the difference between a flag and a pennant? Flag, pennant, not much. They break the same way, which looks like that. And it's moved a little bit. If you liked it, what could you do now? Shift to a continuation. Go one candle back, and then look to move your stops as it goes. Pretty easy. Different mindset. You're not looking for 3-to-1s, 2-to-1s. So let's play that out. Here's my stop based on today. Let's call it 94.50. That's 94.50. We're at 99.60. 5 points and change. So I need at least 10 to get 2-to-1. So if you think that 112 is in the cards and it can get there on one move, then you have a nice 2-to-1 continuation trade where you'll move the stop. Whatever your stop is today, you'll move it tomorrow. And then you'll move it again, and then you'll move it again. If it accelerates, you might move to a 4-hour. But a continuation trade's a little different. We don't look for 3-to-1, 3.5-to-1s on a continuation trade. Why? Because you already have momentum. Whereas in a standard bounce trade, we're looking to catch the bounce. And that should, if we're going to do that, we should get paid for it. 3-to-1, 3.5-to-1. But if a continuation, you're really not going to get the same type of numbers. So keep that in mind. Howmet. Howmet's looking viable right here. And that's in the industrial space. We'll see if these numbers make sense. And if so, this could be an alert today. IBM. Oh, IBM. I've got this floating line just waiting. Just waiting to see if I can put it somewhere and be like, oh, are you going to go? And if so, looking for it. Do I have time? Oh, you can see already here. The 23rd after market gives me 1 day less than I need for this move. 1 day less. If this comes, well, let me actually activate this one more time. Let's put it like this. 15th, that's tomorrow. Actually, no. I have just enough time. If that turns tomorrow, of course, we're all going to be like, hoorah, and we'll take it. We'll put an alert out. That's what I'm anticipating. We'll see. IWM looks pretty good actually here. We're supposedly dropping on tariff threats, but small caps who are most sensitive to interest rate changes, it's looking okay. Meta came out and then hiccuped. What's helping me stay in hiccups? Posture. I'm not going to take losses easily. That's the point, right? I'm not going to take losses easily when my posture looks good. And so here it is. Does this look okay? Yeah. In fact, as this starts to bounce, I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over and I'm going to go like this. And there's my trade. People say, can you just move lines like that, Scott? Well, you saw me. I did it. So obviously I can. It's my line. My circus, my monkeys. Okay. Morgan. Another one. Gosh. We all wanted another trade on Morgan, didn't we? Fabulous Morgan trade back here. And then it's beautiful setup. Breaking new highs, coming down. I gotta say, if there was ever a time that I wanted to put one on, and you might ask, do you do that sometimes, Scott, with just a couple of contracts? Of course I do. Of course I do. And I just think to myself, and then, of course, what happens? I put a couple on, and then there's a negative something, and you lose everything, and you're like, son of a gun. That's why we don't do it. Oh, Micron will get, Micron not doing its thing. Not doing its thing, Micron. Yeah, we'll go take a look at that. We'll take a look. Microsoft looks bullish, but hard to trade. It's just kind of grinding. You can see you're not getting great consolidations. There was one here. Boom. That was it. And it really hasn't done much since then. It's not like you're like, oh, I'd be making wild profits. You'd be slightly profitable. It's not like a swing. It's not swinging up, swinging down, right? Micron was looking like it wanted to do its thing. If you had an automatic stop in or something, you might have gotten picked off pretty early. Yeah. It really was looking like it wanted to, and then it just couldn't. Netflix. That's one we wanted to develop. Unfortunately, what? Earnings on the 17th. Aftermarket. You still don't have very much time. Otherwise, looks like it's ready to try to go. That's another one, too, that they really can smash out of earnings, Netflix. Prone to reactions around earnings. NVIDIA starting to top out and roll over. However, Palantir continuing to make its move up. Are we close to... Are we close to a first trigger? Hit it today, 145. No, we hit that last week. Didn't we? Yes. We hit that last week. Okay, so if you missed the first time, it's there again. But ultimately, looking for it to get... Did I close that? What happened to my picture? Oh, no. My screen sharing is paused. Sorry, I don't know what happened there, guys. Thank you, Phil, for the heads up. And there's PLTR. 145. Primary is 148. We're looking for this thing still to pop. If we can get through this resistance, getting to, you're like 158, it's right there. It's not that high. I think we can get there. So if you're in PLTR, I would imagine most people are. If you took it originally, looks great. Still going. Still making some money. So let me go back real quickly to Netflix. That's what it looked like there. Palantir or Nvidia a little overextended. The Q's just kind of sitting. Looks fine. Roblox. Yeah. Yeah. Giddy up, Roblox. Let's get that one. Looking good. At 108.50. Bingo, bango. We're there. Did we get there last time? We did not quite get there on Friday. If you're in it, profit target 1 hit. And look at that. We're really very close to where we wanted to be on this line. Yeah, that line's been a nice guide. 2 more days. We're up here. Call it a day. It's profitable. You should be booking some. Doesn't need to be half. It could just be 1. 20%, 25%, 33%, depending on how many contracts you have. But might be a good idea. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Anybody still riding with this one with me? I told you I was giving it. It's just kind of grinding along. Looking good today. Making some money. This one's a little slower, though. Where's the... Oh, this was not a formal alert. I forgot. This was one that we built on a Thursday, or we built this one, and then I can't remember. Did anyone take this one? What was this one? We built it as a group, but I didn't end up putting it out as an alert. So this was kind of like an informal session trade more than a formal alert. Does anyone remember? Did anyone else take it? Am I just making it up in my mind? Miguel, thank you. I was like, am I crazy? I swear this happened. Oh, right here, huh? It was. I did not have a full order in. Again, a lot of that is just by market postures. Like I'm not putting things too tight or putting them on, but putting alerts. I put an alert on. It said, "Hey, this is happening." And I'm like, "All right, let's just see." And it came back anyway. I get it. SPY, how are we doing? It's flat. There is no... We talk about our opening range. What's the opening range? We dropped and came back immediately. Little tweezer hold right here. Now we're sitting. Even if we're coming down, this is a very strong hold of 622. Very strong. Even intraday. So we'll see what happens if it can hold on or not. Tesla, I don't know. Tesla. This is another one. I'm wondering how bad those earnings could possibly be. TSM setting up, unfortunately, earnings. I hope you're programming yourself to look for where that is right now. Now that we know earnings season is upon us, find it so you know how much time you have. There's nothing more frustrating than going through all the motions and then all of a sudden you're ready to pull the trigger and then you're like, wait, earnings are right here. And then it's like you wasted your time. When you know it's earnings season, you take a peek. Uber's looking strong on this pullback. I like this for a setup this week. Got this cup, little mini handle. We busted out. And now what? Now, as I said, this is why I don't like breakouts. It broke out and then it did hardly anything. And then now it's already pulling back. But this trade here, I'm looking for this, which is 82.5 to 93.5, 11 points. From 93.5, that gives us 94.5, or 104.5. Can't quite see it, but it's up here. Right around there. Bam. I think Uber's setting up for us. Bullish dollar index. Okay. We'll see. Nothing really there. Visa. Thought I erased that. Visa, maybe. Maybe if this thing comes and turns and I have time before earnings, I think we might see a bit of a recovery here. We know how America is with credit cards. The VIX just kind of sitting in that same spot. Walmart. Okay. We've got positions on that are all looking fine. No problem. Utilities. So tonight at 6 p.m. in our evening session, we're going to do some searching. Is it utilities that we like? I could see that. We could maybe look through some utilities to have one or two. I'll be honest, you can always just trade XLU. There's not great utility companies for trading. It just is what it is. But yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Do not forget to give me an hour on your trading plan, market posture. There are videos for each of these. What are you doing with this? Just give yourself a quick, what's the chart I use? What am I looking for? When you get to market posture, define what that means and what you do with it. Same thing here with trading posture. What I am overall. What am I doing right now? Implications should be I understand the types of trades I take. I understand how long they should last. I understand how I should manage them from a risk management standpoint, the strategies and systems that make sense in this market, and the tactics that I should be employing. What does that mean, tactics? Well, I just said we don't need to sell half. We could sell a third or a quarter or a fifth, depending on contracts. The more bullish I am, the less I want to take profit at the first point, the more I want to try to push to the second point. And the last thing would be hedging. If you want to see what this section looks like fleshed out, go into the resources, download the sample plan, and use it as a guide. No need to reinvent the wheel. CRK, Lee stunk it in. He snuck it in before the wire. CRK. Comstock. Ooh, Comstock looks like a bit of a dead cat bounce to me. A bear flag. Looked great here, and I'd be like, oh, buddy, if this thing turns, but it didn't turn. It broke on big volume, and then it kept breaking, and then kept breaking. Broke the 50, broke through all of this, and now my concern is that it's going to hit. Maybe it gets in there, maybe it hits the underside, and then drops and breaks the flag. And then I think we're heading down to 18. Be careful on that one. That looks more like a sell-off than it does a pullback. In fact, you'll notice the pullback is bigger than this rally. Right? Anyway, thanks for bringing that one up. Good to see everybody. Tonight, 1 hour. We'll answer some questions. We'll do some searching. I'm going to wait Bob Rowland to update the watch list now as I realize that we're going to do some searching, because if we're going to search, we're going to add a couple of things. So then there'll have been a few things dropped and then a few things added, and then I'll put the new watch list up. So look for that. Anyways, other than that, it's good to see everyone. Looks fine. Let's relax. Market's bullish. We're bullish. Our stocks that we're trading are bullish. And we still have setups that are looking to come out. So I wouldn't at all be surprised if an alert comes out here today. Good to see everybody. Have a great rest of your day. See you tonight. If not, I'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Happy trading.